Having one-on-ones and actually understanding the people that you work with and having a relationship with them will show in the bottom line of your financial statements and will help you grow your business. The reason why is, and I'll give you a story that I was at this event right now, lunch event, where we talked about data-driven decisions and how to build an organizational culture based on these data-driven decisions. And they talked about real-time and weekly surveys that they do within the company in order to understand the co-workers and the employees, how they are, and customer satisfaction, but also employee satisfaction and those aspects. Now, something that came to my mind is that there's so much focus on this data driven, and when are people going to talk about, people? We're working with people, not working with data. We're working with people that works with data, maybe, but we're working with people, emotions, lives. So I asked out this question because there was so much focus on, the data-driven parts, and they did mention, I'm gonna give them a eloge for that, and give credit for that, which is that they brought up the importance of having one-on-ones, or at least talking and speaking to people. But they mostly refer to text. They mostly refer to having like this chat system where employees can anonymously chat with the CEO of the company. I think that's great, good, but you miss an important thing, and it's this, having this conversation. You see the emotions, you understand people in another way. Now there are reasons for why you would use text in some cases more, or prefer that instead of having a one-on-one. And that would be that you can anonymously chat, right? You can actually ventilate through text and actually tell people what you think without having to feel like you're being judged, because no one knows who you are in the anonymous chat. But you missed emotions, and that's an important part in this, because you and I having this conversation, not only will you be able to express yourself truly and fully, and some people are more text oriented, I know, but it tends to work for, even though that you're really good at writing text or not, it tends to work very good when you speak to them, because people like to talk about themselves, and especially if they have problems, they love talking about the problems. But another important thing is that not only will you be able to express yourself if you have the issue, or if you're an employee or whatever, if you want to talk, I will be able to understand you better, like the receiver. Not only the sender will be able to express himself or themselves good, but also the receiver, the listener, will be able to understand the emotions, right? And if you're not completely off in your head, or if you have any sort of problem, social problem, whatever, syndrome, whatever you want to call it, that you don't understand human emotions, if you don't have that, you'll probably get a lot of information from just having a one-on-one. You get to see the whole posture, you get to hear the voice, you get to hear what they say, and you can see the red line, you can follow the thread of what you're saying and what words they use. Like, this is so much information that you're missing when having these data-driven surveys, when you have these text chats and all that. So I think it's super important to remind that you should be able to have a conversation with someone like this. Now, the reason for why it will show up in the financial statements in the end is because when you have these conversations, you will have the company will retain its employees and also its customers, by the way. But it starts with the employee, right? You won't have a company if you're not fully automated, which I highly doubt that you are. But if you're not fully automated, having employees is imperative for your business. Having employees will drive either costs or sales, deliverance and product innovation, marketing and content creation. All of those things, either you'll drive up the costs or you'll drive up the revenue. you will show in the last line of the results, of the margins. It will show. And the reason for why it will show is because if you have people that stay in your company and that you like and you have a relationship, they will tend to work better with you. Now, it's very important that you do not have too much of a friendly connection with them, which means that or can be translated in that if you're not able to separate work and private affairs with these, which means that you won't be able to tell them off or tell them to do something and be hard on them like that. That's an important aspect, and I look forward to having those challenges thrown at me, because I know that I'm very oriented to get to know people and get very friendly with people, and I hope that's not gonna come in the way in my situation. But if you have respect, because it all comes down to respect, right? You have to respect, and you have to integrity, and you also have to remind yourself of your responsibility as a manager. And I'm speaking to you mostly if you're a manager or business or entrepreneur, whatever you want to call yourself. But just using these tools, the systems, which are not including the one-on-one conversation, you'll lose a lot. Which means that you'll win a lot if you have these conversations, as I talked about. Now, when you actually have these one-on-ones, when you actually understand the people that you're working with, other than you can align their self-interests, right? You can align self-interests with yours. Other than that, you will be able to trace and understand what's happening in the company, which means that you will be able to tweak on the things that needs to be tweaked. As in, we're having problems in this department because of these conversations are being had or not being had, then you know it, you understand it. And some people, like, okay, say, so this is basically what HR does a lot, right? They have conversations and do a service and try to understand people. That's their job, right? That's their job. But it's also your job as a manager, even if you have an HR department. Nonetheless, you have to also as well create this relationship and understand the employees. And I think it's even more important that you have, especially since you're working together, right? You're having a connection. I think it's super important that you are respectful enough to actually try to understand the people that you're working with. Super important, because understanding them and having these conversations, they will bring up a lot of information for you, which means that you can tweak what works and what does not work, because these things won't be seen, or you won't see this in a text chat. I highly I can't see it. I can't imagine that someone would write, this is the exact problem, this is the exact solution they will have in this. Okay, 1 in a million. But what about those other conversations that have where they don't write? Like, that's why you have to have these one-on-ones, that you catch these things by the sublime messages that people send out through the body language, what to say and how they avoid different topics, right? I'm like a fish. You avoid these topics, right? That's when you understand that, okay, we need to zoom in on this. We need to understand what's happening here. Why is that person so reluctant to talk about this topic or this person or this situation or this department? Okay, what's happening here? Let's deep dive into that and try to understand. And being genuine, this is where it comes in handy that you actually have a genuine relationship with them and actually try to be an empathical and understanding leader, because that's the job of the leader, in my opinion, that you should have the relationship with the people that you work with and you respect each other mutually. And therefore you build amazing things together. You innovate and you create, and you basically create success for not only you, the employee, the whole in the company, but basically you're making a dent in the world. I highly believe that. With these small, decisions and these conversations, you're making an impact. Because what happens if, say for example, if you're having a conversation with someone in the company, and say you're not the manager, or maybe you are the manager and you're just horizontally talking to someone that's within your on the same hierarchical level, right? Okay, you're having this conversation with that person, and it can be cross hierarchical, but I'm bring this as an example to illustrate. You're having this conversation, and you generally try to understand the other person. Maybe you give some advice, or maybe just by you trying to understand makes the literal day for this person. That's how big of an impact being generally, and that's being nice, that's being respectful. Maybe you're just curious as a person, maybe you watch these videos, maybe you watch other videos or read or consumed content that told you to be nice and ask how they are, and actually build a relationship and try to understand from a curious perspective the other person. That will give you so much. You guys don't you don't understand how impactful that is if you don't do it. If you do it, you probably understand the immense value. It's crazy. And the why I can say this is because I've seen it. I've literally seen it. I've seen it. I have felt it myself. I've been through these situations where I'm having a conversation with someone and in a company, right? If I am the employee and they are my employer, in those situations, just by them actually generally showing that they're caring means a lot. That's how we people work. We like to talk about ourselves. We like to be seen. Because we only see ourselves. That's not entirely true. Some people try to work on it. But we mostly focus on ourselves. How do I look this day? Like, you get dressed in the morning and you look in the mirror. But it doesn't end with you looking in the mirror at your home. You look in the mirror when you go to work, right? Oh, does it look good? Oh, you look through a window. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't care. But probably you do. Probably. In some way, you think about yourself. What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. And that's what also it creates a lot of anxiety for a lot of people. Oh, in this setting, how should I behave and what should I say? Just be curious about the other person. Probably solve a lot of those problems. Maybe not anxiety, maybe not that you didn't brush your teeth or took a shower this morning, but it'll probably solve some other things. So having these one-on-one conversations and catching these things will help you drive your business. Because also bringing that aspect not only to your employees, but you will understand, because if you say, if you're talking to a salesman, okay, to the sales department, or the customer service department, or the deliverance operations department, they have contact with, probably, and if they have contact with the customers, the clients, the buyers, you will be able to understand them as well. That's the beauty of this. Having a conversation with your employees will give you information about your customers, which means that you can iterate and create your business in a way that you want it. And you can tweak on those things that makes it better and lessen what goes bad and have a greater probability of what's going good. That sounds so weird. Just having a conversation with your employees will give you so much information, and that's a huge source of information. And you should not solely have that as your source of information. You should also have the customer testimonials, customer interviews, try to understand them, have managers talk to everyone within the freaking company. Try to understand them. The reason why? Because it will drive your business, and you will see this in the end of the financial statement. It'll show. It will show. Because those companies that I have been in, those companies that I've seen, those people, the managers, the employees, the company cultures, those where the people don't care about each other, and especially the managers and the entrepreneurs, founders, if they don't care, it'll show. One of them is going bankrupt right now. I'm thinking one specific right now. Yeah, they're going bankrupt. No, actually, I'm thinking about two right now. Yeah, they're going bankrupt. Financial statement, man. It shows in the financial statement. Do you actually care about the people? It'll show. Now, you will be able to treat your people as trash as well and have good financial statements, but not in the long term. And if you still manage to do that, well, I guess something's going good. You're doing something well, hopefully. But most likely not. And if you actually want to create a business that actually drives the sales, drives the people, makes you grow, in the way that you want it, start having a conversation with them. So actually caring and having these one-on-ones, I think, is incremental for your business. And thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and comment if you have any questions, thoughts, or topics of videos you want me actually to record. And then comment that down below. See ya, bye.